In a book titled Come Home to Yourself, Deja Ray writes, quote, "Stop making excuses. Stop settling for what's in front of you. Stop pretending that this life is what you want, that this person is who you need, that your desires are out of reach. Every night when you go to sleep and sink into yourself, you know what is right. You know what your heart wants." End quote. Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Chasing the Dream. My name is Lily Rain. I'm a college student, content creator, model, podcaster, all of the above, based out of San Diego, and I am so excited to be back. I took a month off from podcasting. I had a bunch of episodes pre-recorded. Some I recorded in February, and then I ran into some health issues, so I took a month off. I wrote a bunch of scripts. Today I'm bulk recording, and I'm so happy to be here. I had to go to the ER, and I went to urgent care probably every week. It was really bad, but I feel a lot better. I finally saw a specialist after waiting 6 months for an appointment, but the last 3 months have been really grueling health-wise, and I'm just really grateful that I'm in better health and that I can get back to doing everything that I love. I have a consistent gym routine again, and work has been a lot easier. I'm not calling out because I'm sick anymore, so that's been very nice. I also started going to therapy. I want to do a whole episode on mental health and going to therapy and have one of my friends in it, but I want to go through my full 10 weeks and be consistently taking medication. I am taking it consistently. I started taking medication for my mental health, but I want to see what medication works for me just because I've been trying different things and different dosages. So I want to level out, and then we'll actually have a conversation about it. I'll have one of my friends on. She's kind of in the same boat as me, so it'll be really interesting to get both our perspectives. And yeah, this episode is about why it's okay to change your mind in college, coming from someone who changed their mind a couple times. And I just want to give a heads up. I love talking about statistics because it backs up what I'm saying, but also it is interesting to hear and it is very reassuring, especially when you hear that most of society is kind of going through the same thing as you, and then you can take a breath of fresh air and realize that everything is going to be okay. So for the first part of the podcast, it's going to be the meat, the story time. I have a statistic from NBC. Millions of freshmen are settling into college this fall, and 9 out of 10 pursuing bachelor's degrees are confident they'll finish in 4 years or less. If history holds true, however, fewer than half of them actually will. The article also notes, students can prolong their stays in college by arriving unprepared, taking too few credits per semester, working while in school, changing majors, running out of money, or taking time off for family obligations and other reasons. Colleges and universities can slow them down by piling on additional requirements, failing to provide enough sections of required courses, offering inadequate advising, and being stingy about accepting transfer credits. I will try and link it in the description if you guys want to check out this article. After hearing all those statistics, I wanted to give a little bit of my story and pretty much like go through the reasons why it makes sense that most people graduate within 6 years or even more. My mom took 8 years to finish college. So I graduated high school when I was 17 because I was very eager to go to college and study some kind of design. I ended up going towards lighting design, and while I was in college, I was offered a really cool blue collar trade job to be a lighting electrician in Hollywood, specifically North Hollywood. And it was a very high paying offer, and I really wanted to take it, but I had a dispute with my parents and they didn't want me to do that. So I ended up going to college because they offered to pay for it. They offered to pay for my tuition. So we settled upon that agreement. I would go if they paid for it. But I wanted to go work the blue collar job a little bit more and be guaranteed a job out of college and to be able to take this title with me everywhere that I go. Like I could be an electrician anywhere. But I went to college and I don't have a job that's $75 an hour going out of school, which kind of worries me sometimes. But if I went down that path, I wouldn't be in San Diego right now. I would still be living in LA, and I'd be stuck with that 5-year contract, and then I could actually leave. But I'm really glad that I ended up going to university and pursuing it fully because it took me to a new place. It gave me this new life and it's enabled me to do new things that I probably would not have time to do if I was stuck working 40, 50 hours a week in the apprenticeship, even though it's good money. My life would just look a lot different. I don't know. Maybe I'd be engaged or something by now. I have no idea. But I did take 4 months off when we had that dispute because I was really upset with the whole thing that went down in my family. And I just took some time to figure out what I actually wanted to study in college because lighting design is very niche to LA and just like major cities that have a lot of concerts where movies are produced, commercials like LA, New York, Georgia. Granted, there are lighting jobs everywhere, but you wouldn't work something that's as cool. Like you'd probably do lighting design for a furniture store, but it's so much more fun to do it for a movie or a commercial or you know what I mean? So I took 4 months off, like just a semester, just a summer, and I ended up deciding upon art history, and I've been doing that ever since. I transferred to San Diego State as an art history major. I have a love and hate relationship with it for sure. I think we all do with our majors because there's only two paths you can really go down traditionally with art history. You can do anything with the degree, but most people either work in museums or they work in academia doing research. And I tried both of them and I didn't like either of it. So I feel a little bit conflicted because I love it. I think it's a very interesting thing to study, but not necessarily how applicable it is to what I want to do post grad. So that's why I added a social media minor. I'll probably do a whole episode on my social media minor and why I'm so passionate and excited about that because that was kind of a newfound thing that I discovered during COVID, just how much I love social media and how I could see myself having a career in it for sure. Like whether I'm creating content, whether I'm a social media manager, there's just so many things that I could do with it. And because I'm from LA, there's so many more jobs in LA to do that. So, you know, I could stay here, I could go back. I do have a lot of options with what I could do with it. I could go to another state. Like, hell, it's really versatile and interesting. And every company needs social media people now. Whether older generations want to believe that or not, this is a useful minor for sure. In the article notes where it talks about students prolonging their stays and pretty much why it happens, there's a lot of issues in the American higher education system where we just have inadequate advisors. People who just aren't qualified, people don't know what's going on. And granted, requirements do change for colleges all the time. And, you know, what exam is needed to get into grad school, if even that anymore, or if you still need the SAT, ACT to even get into college as a freshman. It's all been so up in the air since the post-COVID world. It's not as traditional as it used to be, but some schools are going down the traditional route. So advisors need a lot of training. And I think they just need like supervision over what they're doing because they can essentially say whatever they want and like, yeah, you're guaranteed to graduate as long as you follow my plan. And their plan just isn't adequate to graduate. And then people are freaking out at the end of the semester when they're supposed to graduate because they were promised something and they weren't given it because these advisors are not doing what they're supposed to do. I got really lucky when I was in community college. I ended up joining the honors transfer program and we had amazing advisors who were always on top of it. I guess they received more training and regulation than the advisors for the rest of the school. So everything was laid out. My questions were always answered. I had a really last minute question like 2 weeks before graduation, and then the advisor hopped on it that next morning. So I just felt very relieved. I got lucky with that, but not everybody does. One of my friends did not get lucky with it. And that leads to just a lot of issues with people graduating on time and uncertainties, which is just sucks. You know, it's just really hard for us because we're promised things we're not given them. And working in school, okay, I have worked up to 2 jobs while being in school and it sucks. It is so difficult because especially like my parents are paying for my tuition, but they're not paying for my living expenses. So even just paying for your living expenses is an arm and a leg. I can't imagine taking out loans. I'm worried that I might have to take out a loan because I was given a certain amount of money for my tuition, but because I added on a minor, that money doesn't include the minor. So I might have to take out a small loan towards the end of my studies, but I'm trying to pile up some savings so that I never have to take out a loan while I'm in college. And I'm very grateful to say that I can do that. But not everybody can. And paying your way through school is hell. I got laid off from my second job. And it was just scary because there was so much uncertainty. I was only eating twice a day for 2 months. I was scared to eat. I was scared to do anything, scared to buy anything. And it was scary because my income just went from fairly consistent for over 2 years to a really big drop, and it was just enough to pay rent and to buy groceries every week. If you have to work full time while you're in school, you are a trooper. You're doing so much. And if it takes you longer to finish college, do not feel guilty because you are doing what most college students don't do. And you're going down this unconventional route. But at the end of the day, you are paying your way through school, and that's a really big accomplishment in today's society because older generations could work part-time, pay their way through school. They could be comfortable. They could have savings, marry someone, and buy a house before 30. That is impossible nowadays. It truly is. So if you're even paying your bills, paying some of your tuition, you're doing amazing. I promise everything's going to be okay. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. And we just can't keep up because of the state that the world is in. And there's nothing wrong with that. And don't let anybody discourage you and tell you that there's no reason for you to work. I had a really bad experience at my job. So my old job that laid me off, I was a server. And I had an experience with a customer where they asked me how my day was going. It was a couple. And then I looked at them and I told them, it's been good. I'm really grateful I have this second job. I'm just a little bit tired because I was at my job in the morning. You know, I just got off of it. And the lady does this evil laugh kind of at me like, oh, honey, there's no reason for you to be working two jobs. And then her demeanor like changes. And I looked at her, I was like, why? And she said, because you need to focus on school. And I said, I'm focusing on school, but I can't afford to go to school if I don't work two jobs. This is the most expensive city in America. It was recently, like San Diego was recently ranked the most expensive city in proportion to the minimum wage. And it was kind of tense, but I believe in service workers being able to defend themselves. And especially standing up to boomers and people who had it so much easier and they have a really hard time admitting that we're going through hell and they did not set us up for success. They set us up to throw our lives away to capitalism, and it's just so toxic the way that they think that they can speak to us. And I just don't think it's fair. And I'm glad that I stood up to myself. So yeah, that was just an interesting moment. But I guess this all kind of comes down to you feel so much more fulfilled too when you pay your way through school, and you can say that nothing was handed to you. To go through the rest of the list, changing majors. I did change my major, so did add on a little bit extra time. Although I do have credits from my old major that still ended up kind of working because they were some GEs and electives, so kind of fell under this art umbrella. Because when I was a design major, you guys, it's such an uncommon, unheard of major that because it's just so niche to like big cities where you film movies. So they were just like design, I guess I don't know, it's just kind of like an art thing. But taking time off for family obligations and other reasons, just sometimes personal stuff comes up and you need to take time off. What I will say about taking time off though is that you need to go back as soon as possible because statistically the odds are against you if you take time off from school, if you drop out, you are very likely to not go back. So like the longer you step away. So if you take a semester off, don't take two, don't let it turn into 3, 4, 5, 6. Just go back as soon as you can, as soon as, you know, things are leveled out, your family situation is better, whatever you're going through is at a point where it's manageable. So this one's kind of scary. When universities fail to provide enough sections of required courses. I don't know if it's as hard to take everything if you're a bigger major like business or nursing, but my major's pretty tiny and there are 2 courses upper division courses that we need to graduate, and it is almost impossible to take those courses because you're stuck on a long wait list. It's pretty much the class only has enough seats for like 20 to 40 people, and well over 20 to 40 people are trying to take the class, and they're only offered twice during your junior and senior year. You can only take it during the spring, or you can only take it during the fall. There's a seminar class I'm taking right now. It's only offered in the spring. And I didn't want to wait until the semester before I graduate to take that class. So I had to fight to take that class this semester, you guys. I was 10 on the wait list. I jumped up to 1, and then I still showed up, and then somebody didn't show up, and then I ended up getting the class. It was scary. It is a war to get these required courses, at least when your major's small and they don't hire out enough. I heard a rumor that the dean doesn't like our department, and we are understaffed for art history, and they don't feel like hiring more people. They don't want to go through all that because they don't like us. So that's kind of messy. It's just not fair to the students because we shouldn't have to take an extra semester, spend more money because the university just can't get their act together. This last one, I have something to say about this. Being stingy about accepting transfer credits is absolutely beyond me. So I took an Asian art course that I needed to get my associate's degree in community college, and it matched the equivalent of the Asian art course here at State. So when I transferred, it said that I was good. And then more recently, I was looking at my graduation plan advising thing, and it said that I had not taken this lower division course. But then I remembered that class was terrible. It was very traumatizing. I did not like that professor. She was doing stuff that was illegal. That's besides the point. But I know I took that class. It was not transferred over, and then I had to go appeal it and show them that this is the equivalent of the course at State, and it takes 10 business days to hear a response back from them. And it was even hard to get an appointment to ask if I could try and petition for the class to count. I don't know, like, it was just a quick Google search. You could see that this course counted towards my transfer credit, and then it didn't. So I had to jump through hurdles in order to get it to count, which is kind of annoying. But in general, there are so many reasons why it is really hard to graduate college in 4 years nowadays, when you're not being handed every single penny to get through college, whether it's rent, tuition, food, absolutely everything, your car. Not all of us are that lucky. Some of us are, but a lot of us get like a little bit of help. You know, it's said that I think 40% of Gen Z and millennial parents have to help us with our living expenses, or 60%. It's something crazy because the economy has just gotten so out of hand that we literally need help or we can't survive. And I thought this was really interesting that regardless of what you study in college, the average adult will change careers 5 to 7 times in their working life. Approximately 30% of the total workforce will now change jobs every 12 months. And the source of this is the U.S. Department of Labor. This made me feel a little bit better because something I always feared from the older generation was, I don't know, this is what I've heard, I guess, from my grandparents, but you kind of signed your life away once you're done with college. Or if you didn't go to college, you went to trade school, and you kind of signed your life away at one job and kind of just did it until you retired. You're guaranteed a pension, health insurance. You just only work at this one place until you died, pretty much. And that scared me, that, and then the stereotypical like white picket fence, family of 4, whatnot, American dream that exists in this country, because why should I be tied down to doing one thing? I feel like every year I'm a new and improved version of myself, and I just want to try something new. Or you just get tired of, I don't know, I get tired of jobs every 2 years. I'm like, oh, I need to try something new. But it's reassuring to hear that more and more adults are changing their minds and trying different careers. And they do it for a variety of reasons. It's not just because we're bored of it. It's because, you know, there's crappy management. We're not getting compensated properly according to like our degree and whatnot. Like, we've leveled up, but the salary still stays the same. we're not getting like a raise that we deserve according to the way that the economy is going. Micromanagement is always kind of scary. Layoffs, like there's just so many reasons why you might want to leave a job, or a job literally lets you go and you have to figure out what comes next for you, and it might not be your choice. The only reason I'm still in the restaurant industry, like granted, it's not fun. It is very grueling and taxing on your body and your mental health, but I've kept it because it has the most flexibility with school. They want everybody to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Those are the days I don't have school. Those are the days where I kind of have time or have to suck it up and make time in order to go. But then Monday to Thursday, I am at school all day, and then I have to come home and do school until I go to bed. And I barely have time to eat. So for the last part of this episode, I just want to give some closing thoughts. I did go over this earlier, but it's okay to take time off. Come back as soon as possible because the odds are against you whether you like it or not. I did not want to go back after I took a break, but I think it was good that I was kind of forced to go back by my parents. And then if you're working, if you have to take more time, do not let anyone guilt trip you, especially if you don't have loans and you're kind of evened out in terms of tuition, living expenses, like you're doing just fine, but you need an extra year, you need an extra semester. Don't let people bully you into doing things you don't want to do. If you don't believe in taking out loans, don't take out loans in order to graduate on time. Like just continue doing what you're doing. You know what's right for you and your situation, and you have to stand very firm in that to not let other people's opinions get to you. Last thing I want to add, and I really want to stress this, it's never too late. It is never too late to change your major, to change your minor. Even if you're in your last semester, add a minor on that you're passionate about and that's actually applicable to what you want to do post-grad. Don't do something for money, for safety, because that does not exist in our society anymore. You need to do something that makes you happy, because regardless, nothing is permanent, nothing is fixed, nothing is guaranteed to you. So do something that actually makes you happy and that makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning. You can always do an internship that's outside of your major, but as long as you're a college student and you have a resume that's tailored towards that internship, it's not that difficult to be able to switch gears really quickly. And, you know, even though your major isn't what you want, if you've done internships going towards a path that you're more passionate about, that shows a lot to future employers. You know, you can admit, I don't really like my major that much. It might not be relevant to this career, but I have these internships. I've worked in this field and I'm really passionate about it. And I have a degree. Like, I can show you that I can be committed to something that can show up every day. This is why you should hire me. I'm perfect for this role. And that is pretty much a wrap on why it's okay to change your mind in college. I have personal experience with this, seeing all the reasons why people change their mind. They take more time. They might end up leaving altogether. It all resonates. It all makes sense. When you're in college, you understand all of this. And especially if you're coming from a family who didn't go to college, it's even harder for you to navigate. So don't beat yourself up. Everything works out. And remember to keep chasing the dream. I'll catch you guys next time. And I'm so glad to be back.